Hare Krishna. What a surprise. How is it, Sarotama? Your mother and everybody?
Everybody's doing good.
Devi, Saki?
Well, I mean, they're all. Davy is in New Jersey married, and Sachi's in Florida married. George not married.
Oh boy.
You know. How are you?
I have to do some katha. One of them.
Okay.
Before that, there are schedules.
Okay.
We'll set up in life.
So what kind of schedule? What kind of schedule do you have? When do you do like?
Up to 2:30 with the speaker. So Bhagavata reading. And for 7 days we are reading.
Okay. From October 20 after October 21st, I'm working. So after that, I'm thinking whenever you have something, I will try and find out so I can come by.
Natavar asked me to come to play Mridanga for a kirtan. Natavar asked me to come play Mridanga for a kirtan.
Yeah, please.
No? Bola sari
They will
baat.
be doing aarti. So, you sing also?
Sure, ho sakta.
Okay, so we don't have any minute to sing aarti.
So what time is Arti? Sarivara or?
Or
But now. Okay.
within a minute, they will open.
Yashomati Nandan, yeah?
What?
Oh.
You can have it.
Oh, hey.
I'll play cards though.
Oh, that's good. Is this your Mridanga?
These are the hard numbers.
Devika, you can join also.
Shri Radha Jai Shri Shri Radha Govinda Ji ki. Yashomati Nandana Rajavadana Gara Rajavadana
sure how to do this. You have the taboos for it? Jayam Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivrajakachaja Satarasta Sri Srimad. His Divine Grace, Abhaya Charavinda Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada Ki. Jai Nityalila Pavishtom Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivrajakachaja Satarasta Sri Srimad. His Divine Grace, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Goswami Prabhupada Ki. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki. Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Shri Gadadhar Shri Vasudeva Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki. Shri Shri Radha Govinda Go Gopinath Shama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki. Shri Braja Bhumi Vrindavan Dham Ki. Shri Mayapur Navadvip Dham Ki. Shri Jagannath Puri Chaitra Dham Ki. Ganga Mai Ki. Jamuna Mai Ki. Bhakti Devi Ki. Srimati Tulsi Maharani Ki. Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki. Yugadam Harinam Sankirtan Ki. Transcendental Book Distribution Ki. Transcendental Prasadam Distribution Ki. Shri Shri Radha Govinda Dev Ki. Gaur Premanandi. All glory to some devotees. All glory to some devotees. All glory to some devotees. All glory to Sri Guru Ranga and Srila Prabhupada. You have to shut it. You have to start it. Govinda, Govinda. Hare Krishna. You have some new guests or sponsors?
No, there is no sponsor, there is no new guest.
Is this your first time to the temple? You've come many times. Okay. Today is a very special day. Yesterday was Bhadra Purnima. You know Bhadra Purnima? This is the full moon day of the month of, and it's very auspicious. At that time we distribute Srimad Bhagavatam. Bhagavat, you must have seen the Bhagavat Purana. So many people come and sponsor, and if they don't have, then they give to their friends. This is Bhagavat Purana. This is English. We also have Hindi, Gujarati, Bangla, every language. We print in every language. So if you know someone who is in need of assistance or who needs help, who wants to make their life or their home spiritual, then this is the perfect gift. So if you're thinking, if you know someone who has the opportunity, you should recommend them to come to the temple and collect one set. So I'd like to thank everyone who's coming. Mataji, is this on? If it's on, you have to put it down, and we have. Your Prabhu told me I have to come for 5 minutes, so I don't know if it's active, if it's on. The whole thing has to come. And we were reading very interesting this morning, Chaitanya Charitamrita in this Antilila. And Prabhupada said that this Bhagavad Saptah is not typically done in our line. He said that at least not for any remuneration. Looks like it's a little crooked. That's all right. So we have to make sure that we're transferring, that whoever is sponsoring Mataji is also getting a set of Srimad Bhagavatam. That's important, okay? That's the main thing. So you have sponsors for every day now? Okay, so we'd like to make sure all the sponsors know that along with your gracious sponsorship, Sri Sri Radha Govinda Dev Ki, that you also get a set of Srimad Bhagavatam in your choice of languages. So we just want to give a little purport. And this is a very long purport, but we're just going to read some section. is in Untitled Chapter 5, text 131. Srila Prabhupada is instructing Pradyumna Mishra. And let's just see what... So here are of course, the Yaha Bhagavata Pada Vaishnavara Stane Ekanta Asraya Kara Chaitanya Charane. If you want to understand Srimad Bhagavatam, he said, you must approach a self-realized Vaishnava and hear from him. You can do this when you have completely taken shelter of the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So this was in an instance where a poet, a kavi, had come to, he wanted to impress the devotees with his writing. So he was reciting before Sarup Damodar. And Sarup Damodar criticized him, chastised him, not criticized. He chastised him because he was mixing rasabas, because he didn't understand the difference between the Supreme Lord, Lord Chaitanya, and an ordinary jiva. He was thinking that somehow or other, that the Lord and his body were different. It was a very grave mistake. So, anyway, in this final closing of the purport, Srila Prabhupada instructs us in the Bhagavatam, 7.5.30, the very famous verse spoken by Prahlad Maharaj. Matirna Krishna paratak svatova mipto vipadyeti grahavatanam. The Grihavratas, those who are determined to continue following the materialistic way of life, will never awaken their dormant love of Krishna, for they hear the Bhagavatam only to solidify their position in household life and to be happy in family affairs and sex. Condemning this process of hearing the Bhagavatam from professionals, Sarup Damodar Goswami says, Yaha Bhagavata Pada Vaishnavara Stane. To understand the Srimad Bhagavatam, you must approach a self-realized Vaishnava. One should rigidly avoid hearing the Bhagavatam from a Mayavadi or other non-devotee who simply performs a grammatical jugglery of words to twist some meaning from the text, collect money from the innocent public, and thus keep people in darkness. So we have to, at this point, the reason that this Srimad Bhagavatam, that this Bhadra Purnima is so auspicious, is because, not just because the Bhagavatam is always auspicious. It is the Amala Purana, the spotless Purana. So the Bhagavatam can never have any fault. But just like milk touched by the lips of a serpent becomes poisonous, so even a holy scripture, if spoken by a Mayavadi, becomes very, very troublesome because one will get the wrong meaning. So in this Srimad Bhagavatam, which is here behind me, these have the Bhaktivedanta purports. And because Srila Prabhupada himself was a pure devotee, as they're describing here, that one must hear from such a realized soul, then one gets the ultimate benefit. He will not be misled. So he will never be fooled in any respect with regards to the Bhagavatam in this case. So that is why we're hopeful that everyone who is listening here to the purports, the Bhaktivedanta purports, as related by His Grace Nikunjbihari Prabhu, that they will understand actually what is the essence, which is also described in the second chapter, the first canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Here they say, Dharmak sunustata pungsam vishvaksena katasayat notpadayat radiratim shrama eva hi kevalam. That if reading this Bhagavatam one does not engage in service, does not develop love for Krishna, then any of his endeavor is simply a useless waste of time. So Prabhupada concludes, one should hear Bhagavatam from a person who has no connection with material activities, or in other words, from a Paramahansa Vaishnava, one who has achieved the highest stage of sannyas. This, of course, is not possible unless one takes shelter of the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Srimad Bhagavatam is understandable only for one who can follow in the footsteps of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki jai. So that's the purport to text 131 in Untitled Chapter 5. If anyone wants to read that full purport to get the fuller understanding, please do so. So Hare Krishna, and now let's hear some explanations from the Bhaktivedanta purports by His Grace Nikunjbihari Prabhu. Hare Krishna. And of course, Nikunjbihari Prabhu always likes to chant Jai Radha Madhava. But first you have to hear our Jai Radha Madhava. Govinda. Yeah, I'll fix it for you. You want to get your nice profile, your good side.
No. No, the curtains are closed, that's why this doesn't make sense. Curtains are closed. Welcome to Shri Radha Govinda Temple. We'll be chanting favorite bhajan of Srila Prabhupada. This is a tradition he always chanted, Jai Radha Madhav Kunj Bihari. So let's chant. Jai Radha Madhav Kunj Bihari. Jai Radha Madhav Kunj Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Jashodanandan Vrajijan Ranjan. Jashodanandan Vrajijan Ranjan. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jai Radha Madhav Kunj Bihari. Jai Radha Madhav Kunj Bihari. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Jai Jai Gurudev, 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 Jai Jai Gurudev. नमो विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्रजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर सदा भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी शिल प्रभुपाद की, भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी महाराज की, अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की, नामाचार्य हरिदास ठाकुर की, प्रेम से कहो श्री चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधार शिवासदि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय, अंतर्विमाभू धाम की जय, वृंदावन धाम की जय, तुलसी देवी की जय, भक्ति देवी की जय, समावेद भक्त वृंद की जय, गॉड प्रेमानंदी, all glorious to assembled devotees, all glorious to assembled devotees, all glorious to assembled devotees, all glorious to Guru and Gaurang. So we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam. Please chant with me. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayamudirayet. So we are following Srila Prabhupada's instructions. Before reciting Srimad Bhagavatam, which is a very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead Narayan, unto Narnarayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. That was the meaning of Narayanam Namaskritya, Naram Jaiva Narottamam, Devim Saraswatim Vyasam, Tato Jayam Udirayat. Next, he says, we should be also chanting Shunvatam Swakatha Krishna Punya Shravan Kirtana Rudi Anantastohi Abhadrani Vidu Noti Suratsatam. What it means, the Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is the Paramatma, super soul in everyone's heart, and the benefactor of truthful devotees, cleanses desire for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee, who has developed the urge to hear his messages, which are in themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. Then he says we should be also chanting Nastaprayeshu abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistaki. By regularly listening to Srimad Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Then he says, now these are all the verses, different verses from Srimad Bhagavatam. Nigam kalpataro galitam phalam shukumukhad mukhadrabhya sanyutam pibata bhagavatam rasamalayam muhuraho rasika bhuvi bhavukam. It says, O expert and thoughtful man, relish Srimad Bhagavatam, the mature fruit of the desired tree of Vedic literatures. It emanated from the bliss of Sri Shukadeva Goswami. Therefore, this fruit has become even more tasteful, although its nectarian juice was already relishable for all, including liberated souls. Om Ajnanam Timirandasya Gnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmritam Yeno Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Svadaantikam. Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenamando Jagatpate Gopesh Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute. Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priya. Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Krupa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasati Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So we will be reading and we will go up to 2:30 as scheduled. Because of the Aarti, we start the offering at 12 o'clock. Because Sri Sri Radha Govinda should be offered the Rajbhog exactly at 12 o'clock. This is the Pitrupaksh. So we also offer, or those who are offering home also, that time is also 12. So between 12 to 12:30, that is offering. After 12:30, we open the curtains and we offer different paraphernalias and do the Aarti ceremony for Sri Sri Radha Govinda. During that, we have the live kirtan and a lot of people attend and they stay for the katha also. After that, they stay for the prasadam also. So, we'll be chanting and also reading. It's all spiritual activities. And let's keep glorifying Srimad Bhagavatam through different verses that we have from Srila Prabhupada. It's very interesting. He had only 11 years. In 11 years, Srila Prabhupada was able to establish 108 temples, not at one place, but all over the world. At the same time, he was able to translate Bhagavad Gita. He was able to translate Chaitanya Charitamrita, and he was able to translate Srimad Bhagavatam. He had only 11 years in his life. So we sometimes think that this is it. Whatever he did, that's it, right? But no. I came across this morning of the introduction that has included Srila Prabhupada's letter. And it's so wonderful that if he had 111 years instead of 11 years only, then he could have really done something magic. So here the introduction I found in a book, it says, recently, with the spread of bhakti movement throughout the world, there has been a revival of interest within India, also about the pastimes of the Supreme Lord. This bhakti revival has been brought about largely due to the efforts of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, the founder Acharya of International Society of Krishna Consciousness and prime exponent of bhakti in the modern age. Srila Prabhupada elaborately describes the pastimes of Krishna in his writings and also wished that pastimes of Rama be widely broadcasted. So although he has not translated Ramayana, but that does not really mean that he didn't have knowledge of Ramayana, or he didn't translate Ramayana, or he didn't show any interest towards Ramayana, or we could not even look at the Ramayana. So here, the letter from Srila Prabhupada is, the writer is including. And he says, regarding seeing your book on Lord Ramachandra, partly translated into English. So this is a letter from Srila Prabhupada to Dinanath Mishra. He writes this on 26th of 1975 and is congratulating Mr. Mishra with this letter. Regarding seeing your book on Lord Ramachandra, partly translated in English, I am very much eager to see it. I have to translate all the Puranas. See his desire. He was not even able to translate only Srimad Bhagavatam. What to speak of rest of the 17 Puranas, right? He was not able to in 11 years, but that does not mean that he didn't accept the rest of the Puranas. Every page you see, he is giving references from different Puranas. And they are unlimited scriptures. And every page, like I said, is including those things. For example, there is a Brahma Purana. You will find reference from there. Padma Purana, Vishnu Purana, Shiva Purana, Narad Purana, Markandeya Purana, Agni Purana, Bhavishya Purana, Brahma Vaivarta Purana, Linga Purana, Varaha Purana, Skanda Purana, Vamana Purana, Devi Purana, Karma Purana, Matsya Purana, Garud Purana, and lastly, Srimad Bhagavatam Purana. But when he writes commentaries or the purports for Bhagavad Gita or Chaitanya Charitamrita or Srimad Bhagavatam, you will find all these Puranas referred into. So he had a knowledge. And here it says, I am very much eager to see it. I have to translate all Puranas, Ramayana, Mahabharata, and many other theistic literature left by the Gaudiya Vaishnavas. So Gaudiya Vaishnava accepted all these Puranas and the literatures available. Only thing that they were not translated into English, and Prabhupada's desire is more important here, that at least he understood and he desired that he had more time to do that work. So far as Bhagavad Gita, it is not only one Gita. There is a Pingal Gita, Shampaka Gita, Manki Gita, Bauddha Gita, Vichunka Gita, Harit Gita, Vrit Gita, Parashar Gita, Hans Gita, Brahmana Gita, Avadhuta Gita, Astavakra Gita, Ishwara Gita, Uttara Gita, Kapila Gita, Ganesh Gita, Deva Gita, Pandava Gita, Brahma Gita, Bhikshu Gita, Yama Gita, Ram Gita, Vyasa Gita, Shiva Gita, Sat Gita, Surya Gita, Anu Gita. Anu Gita which follows from Bhagavad Gita as it is. So, Srila Prabhupada is actually trying to include every one of them. Just he didn't have a time to take word by word, verse by verse, and then translate and give us. But that is why I say they are scattered all over. Only thing, you have to not only read his books, but you have to also read his heart, his mind, and his soul itself. Then only we understand that whether was he limited or no. No. I believe that he had a great horizon, very wide horizon. And that's why he was able to talk about every scripture that you think of. I have great desire to translate the Valmiki Ramayana because that is authorized. It appears that in Western countries there is a great demand or real knowledge of Vedic literature. So, you are a learned scholar both in English and Hindi, and you can do this completely denoted to service of Lord Ramachandra. So, this is just a part of the letter, but that it means that he is encouraging the person who is not even Krishna conscious. Just by looking at the book, the idea of translating some literature, he is trying to encourage that yes, here we hear the word Hindi, all right? So he was not even restricted to Hindi or English. Right behind me there is a set, 28 languages of the world. Of course, in India there are 26 languages. Every state has a different language. Gujarat may have a different language, and Maharashtra may have a different language, and Telugu may have a different language. Yes, different story. We are not talking about a limited vision of Indian languages. In languages of the world, you see all these Bhagavatam sets are translated in at least more than 28 languages of the world, right? So his vision was not limited that let's only talk in English and not talk in Hindi. Oh, you cannot give a reference from Gujarati. No, he was not like that. I heard him in Gujarati, I heard him in Hindi, I heard him referring so many other languages also. So, his vision we have to understand and we have to go by. So, here it begins with a very beautiful verse here, Srimad Bhagavatam. Naimishe anime kshetra rusheshon kadaya Satra Svargaya Lokaya Sahasra Samamasata. It says, once about 5,000 years ago, sometime after the disappearance of Lord Krishna, great sages headed by Shaunaka Rishi assembled at Naimisharanya to perform an extensive series of sacrifices. This most sacred place is the hub of great will that had been contemplated by Lord Brahma to encompass the entire universe. Being very anxious to benefit the people who would be born during the forthcoming age of Kali, the sages had selected Naimisharanya because they understood that when sacrifice is performed there, the strength of demoniac persons becomes curtailed. Here the word Naimisharanya is very, very important. Naimiha yatrana shiryante iti Naimisharanya. As you see, you look at me or look at you or look at anybody, everybody's eyes are flickering. Every 3.5 seconds you have to close your eyelids, otherwise eyes will not work. It has to close and open, close, and just like the deity's curtains are closed, but they will be opening again, then they will be closing again. So similarly our eyes, that is a nimish. Nashriyante, there is no movement. Now the eyes has a movement, but the place named Naimisharanya has no movement whatsoever. It is still. Rest of the world, rest of the universe may be circulating and moving, lot of motion, velocity. But scripture says, Naimiha yatran shiryanti iti naimisharanya. This is a matter of research. But by definition, this is the place where there is no any movement whatsoever. When there is a movement, there is noise, right? And it disturbs. But there is no disturbance. It's very, very peaceful. That is what it's trying to say, that there was a place named Naimisharanya. And then what happens, let's see. Knowing that the only practical sacrifice during Kali Yuga is the Sankirtan Yagna, the chanting and hearing of the holy name and the glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the sages were prepared to hear Krishna Katha for 1,000 years just to set the example for the persons of this age. Which is this age? Age of hypocrisy and quarrel. And that is why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has recommended us that we should be doing Sankirtan Yagna, chanting Hare Krishna mantra constantly. And that's why only in like 8 verses he is preaching us. Cheto darpanamarjanam bhavamaha davagni nirvapanam shreya kairava chandrika vitaranam vidyavadhu jivanam anandam buddhivardhanam pratipadam purnamruta swadanam sarvatma swapanam param vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam. This to the Shri Krishna Sankirtan, which cleanses the heart of all dust accumulated for years and extinguishes the fire of conditioned life, of repeated birth and death. This Sankirtan movement is the prime benediction for humanity at large because it spreads the rays of benediction moon. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases the ocean of transcendental bliss and enables us to fully taste the nectar for which we are always anxious. And that is why not only I am talking about Srimad Bhagavatam, but any other Puranas, any other scripture you say, most of the scriptures they begin with the word Naimisharanya, and it begins in this fashion. Ekda Naimisharanya Rushashonakada Praparchurmunaya Sarve Sutam Pauranikam Khalu. 88,000 assembly of sages headed by Shaunak Rishi and the chief speaker Sutta Purani. And all the scriptures are given that way. So, right now is the same scenario. We are in Naimisharanya, 8,000 sages are there, and Sutta Purani is also there, the speaker is there, and he will be asked some questions. But before that, the reason why they were assembled is given is to do Sankirtan, just as recommended by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And then he says, Namnakari bahuda nij sarva shakti tatrapita niyamena smaranena kala ekadashi tava krupa bhagavan mamapi durdevam indrashim ihajanina anuraga. O my Lord, your holy name alone can render all benediction to living beings, and thus you have hundreds and millions of names like Krishna and Govinda. In these transcendental names, you have invested all your transcendental energies. There are not even hard and fast rules for chanting these names. O my Lord, out of kindness, you enable us to easily approach you by your holy names. But I am so unfortunate that I have no attraction for them. Taste, very important. Some people do not have taste for Sanskrit. Some people don't have taste for English. Some people don't have taste for these spiritual scriptures. They don't believe in Katha, Varta and sitting in temple or go for darshan and all that. It's just so unfortunate. And then here it says, Trunadapi shunichana tarorapi saishnuna amanina manadena kirtaniya sada hari. One should chant the holy name of the Lord in an humble state of mind, thinking oneself lower than the straw in the street. One should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and should be ready to offer all respect to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the name of the Lord, the forms of the Lord, the fames of the Lord, the qualities of the Lord, the pastimes of the Lord, the entrages of the Lord, and different paraphernalias of the Lord. So, when you become humble, you don't think that somebody is Mayavadi. No. We have to examine ourselves, and we should think that do we have limited vision? Can we understand that person? And Prabhupada had that nature. When you read Chaitanya Charitamrita and the way he describes all the personalities, I was just going through Srimad Bhagavatam before I came here. And there was a pastime in third canto, and it says this, Yadus, they were naughty. They played mischief. They played mischief to this extent that Brahmana cursed them. And this, we know that you belong to Krishna, you come from Krishna, you are with Krishna, you are a family of Krishna, but we curse that whole family will be destroyed. And that whole dynasty was erased from this earth. Why? Because of their mischief. But when Prabhupada writes, he says, no. They were great Brahmanas, and they were great Vaishyas, and they were great devotees, because they went to Prabhas Patan, and what they were supposed to do, Pitru Tarpana, they did it. They give charity to Brahmanas. And they created a perfect society. If you read those verses like third canto, third chapter, verse number 26, 27, 29 and all that, just the end part of that particular chapter, it glorifies the Yadu dynasty. Now we think that looking at their mischief, which made the whole dynasty vanish from this earth, they must be bad people. But no. Look at Prabhupada. He is glorifying them. Even though they were culprits, even though they disturbed the whole Brahmanical society, even though they became the victim of the curse of the Brahmana. Prabhupada is so merciful, and we can even not have that kind of understanding if we just make up our own understanding about Srila Prabhupada and this institution. And then he says, Na dhanam, na janam, na sundarim kavitam jagat ish kamaye, mama janmani janmani, bhavatat bhaktir avhetu ki tvai. O Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor do I desire beautiful women, nor do I want any number of followers. I only want your causeless devotional service, birth after birth after birth. O son of Maharaj Ananda Krishna, I am your eternal servitor, yet somehow or other I have fallen into the ocean of birth and death. Please pick me up from this ocean of death and place me as one of the atoms at your lotus feet. O my Lord, when will my eyes be decorated with tears of love flowing constantly when I chant your holy name? When will my voice choke up? And when will the hairs of my body stand on end at the recitation of your name? This should be the mood. We should be following, trying to understand this and come to this stage instead of wasting our time. Yugaitam nimishena chakshur prasyam shunyaitam jagat sarvam govinda virahena me. O Govinda, feeling your separation, I am considering a moment to be like 12 years or more. Tears are flowing from my eyes like torrents of rain, and I am feeling all vacant in the world in your absence. This is very interesting because one time I was talking to the crowd of people, and one guy was like one of the richest person in New York. And he says, I like this what you said. He said, what do you like about it? He said, you said, Shunyaitam Jagat Sarvam. And I like that most. Shunyaitam. Shunya means zero. He says, I love zero. I'm a millionaire, I'm a billionaire, I'm a zillionaire, whatever you call. Lot of money. But every time when I see my account and one zero is added after that income or after the amount, I become happy. And when you say, this whole world is full of zeros, I dream about my life. I dream about my income and my business. For generations and generations and dynasty after dynasty, nobody will have to work. They will be happy. Just enjoy my money. So I like that Shunyaitam Jagat Sarva. So that's why I say it's a joke. But the thing is that there are also people who understand, who misunderstand. Only yesterday we were talking about the three kinds of understanding, and this is one of them. What are the three kinds of understanding? That understanding which consider irreligion to be religion, under the spell of illusion and darkness, and drives always in the wrong direction, is the mode of ignorance. Better we look at the board, better we look at the speed limit, better we look at what navigator says. Look out of the window or ask person sitting next to it, right? Are we in the right direction? Same thing we should ask ourselves, because there is a kind of intelligence. Doesn't have to be you are intelligent or no, but that's within our heart, that is in our mind. That's way of life, that we understand something, we don't understand something. But this is a dangerous situation. And it says that understanding which considers irreligion to be religion, under spell of illusion and darkness, and drives always in the wrong direction, is in the mode of ignorance. The second kind of understanding is that understanding which cannot distinguish between religion and irreligion. Say before, to understand religion as irreligion, irreligion as religion, at least he knows two words, dharma and adharma. But here in this case, he even doesn't know what a religion is. He doesn't know even what a irreligion is. So he says that understanding which cannot distinguish between religion and irreligion, between action that should be done and action that should not be done, is in the mode of passion. This is a sattviki, they call it. And finally, that understanding by which one knows that ought to be done and what not to be done, what is to be feared and what is not to be feared, which is binding and what is liberating, is in the mode of goodness. So all these injunctions that given by Chaitanya 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 Mahaprabhu or Lord Sri Krishna directly, or even through Prabhupada, if you misunderstand, if you interpret in a wrong way, if you just make your own meanings, then it will not help you. According to place and time, Srila Prabhupada has guided so many persons privately also. And letters and everything is available also, where we can find that his opinions were not limited only to translations or transliterations or purports, but he was much more than that. So here it says, Ashli Shiva Padratla Pinastumam Adarshnan Marma Hatam Karotuva Yatha Tatha Vajutratu Lampato Mat Pranana Sastusa Evana Paraham. I know no one but Krishna as my Lord, and he shall remain so, even if he handles me roughly by his embrace or makes me broken-hearted by not being present before me. He is completely free to do so, anything and everything. So he is always my worshipful Lord, unconditionally. Very beautiful translation and very beautiful. Only there are 8 verses, Shikshastakam, but that is a treasure. Anything you want to know is in there. So, going back to what we were discussing, that it says here, Tayekada tumunaya pratarhuta hutagnaya sakruta sutamasinam praparuchu ridamadara. One day, after finishing their morning duties, including the performance of Agnihotra sacrifice, the rishis were respectfully seated upon the Vyasasan and then made the following inquiries. So, this is where Srimad Bhagavatam begins. 6 questions. What is the first question? What is the second question? What is the third question? Which one is the 4th question, 5th question, and 6th questions? You know, you have to remember in a sequence, because first question has something to do with the second question. The second question has something to do with the third question. The third question will be followed by 4th question, 5th questions, and finally 6th questions. So it's very, very important, because this is just the beginning. And if you miss the beginning, then you miss everything. Then you don't know what is following. Because the rest of them, the whole Bhagavatam, you know how many verses it has? 18,000 verses. 335 chapters. 576,000 of words. This is a very big book. And look at here, we have displayed everything. All you have to do is just sponsor one day reading, and you get these books. And not only this is limited to Bhagavatam, we have Srimad Bhagavad Gita also, we also have Chaitanya Charitamrita, and any other books that Srila Prabhupada translated, you can buy in bulk, give it to your friends, family members, and that will be great service to the humanity. So, we proceed. The first question is, Tatta tatranya sayushmana bhavataya dvinishyatam pusam me kanta shreyasan shansitu marhasi. The sages said, O Sut, being an ideal submissive disciple, you have received full enlightenment by the mercy of your spiritual masters. Please explain to us what you have ascertained to be the absolute and ultimate good for the people in general. So, this is a very general question which touches not only you and me, but whole humanity. Every living entity is included in this particular question. And it says, please explain to us what you have ascertained to be the absolute and ultimate good for the people in general. Very beautiful. Why they have to worry about you? Why they have to worry about a person like me? But no, that is the beauty of Srimad Bhagavatam. Nobody is excluded here. So, in this Kali Yuga, men have very short lives, and they are quarrelsome, lazy, misguided, unlucky, and above all, always disturbed. There are so many revealed scriptures and that describe innumerable varieties of beauties. Please select the essence of all these sacred texts and explain it to us for the good of all people, so that their hearts may become fully satisfied. Buri buri karmani shrotavyani vibhagasha atah sadho tatra saram samudhrutya manishaya. Please select the essence of all these sacred texts and explain it to us for the good of all people, said that their hearts may become fully satisfied. Essence of all the sacred texts. We don't have time. Prabhupada didn't have time. That's why all the scriptures that I described before by name, so many scriptures are there, right? But Srila Prabhupada did the same thing. He took the essence from Brahma Purana, took the essence from Padma Purana, essence from Vishnu Purana, essence from Shiva Purana, essence from Narada Purana, essence from Markandeya Purana, essence from Agni Purana, essence from Bhavishya Purana, essence from Brahma Vaivarta Purana, essence from Linga Purana, essence from Varaha Purana, essence from Skanda Purana, essence from Vamana Purana, essence from Kurma Purana, essence from Matsya Purana, from Garuda Purana. All these Puranas, just essence. When you taste some gulab jambu or batata vada, right? You don't see things separately. That yes, salt is there, yes, the turmeric is there, and some kind of oil is there, or ghee is there, or some spicy pepper is there. No, you taste as it is. So Prabhupada's books, when we read, everything is there, but in form of essence. Little pinch of salt, and that's it. That will take care of the whole recipe. You don't have really translate Brahma Vaivarta Purana. What is the beauty of Brahma Vaivarta Purana? You want to know? We'll talk about it. The way the Bhagavatam is approaching Srimad Bhagavatam, if you read Brahma Vaivarta Purana, the approach even today among devotees is most popular and acceptable because it is also entertaining at the same time for a common man who doesn't have any taste for spiritual life. That's the beauty of Brahma Vaivarta Purana. The Padma Purana, right? What it gives? It gives a Bhagavatam Mahatmya and talks about a common man like you and me and creates interest so that now you can go for actual Bhagavad Purana. The Padma Purana, what exactly happened after Krishna left and what Uddhavji did, what happened in his life, how he preached, what happened exactly, it's all given in Padma Purana as Bhagavat Mahatmya, and then you read actual Bhagavat Mahapurana. These all are helping, right? There is a storage of every scripture in here in Prabhupada books. Because just like it here says, please select the essence of all these sacred texts. And that's what he did. And that's why we don't taste it separately. Oh, this is salt. Oh, this is oil. Oh, this is pepper. No, it's a gulab jamu or it's a batata vada or puri or whatever you say, right? It's there in your dish. So this is a dish Prabhupada has provided, and we actually should not have any kind of discrimination by actually tasting a separate taste from the separate scripture. Now, it says, Sutayanasi Bhadram Te Bhagavan Sattvatam Pati Devakyam Vasudevasya Jato Yascha Kirtitam. O Sutta Goswami, now we are at the third question. You know for what purpose the Supreme Lord appeared in the womb of Devaki and played the part of human being. We are very eager to learn about him. Right? Very beautiful question. You can just jump into the subject. The subject matter of Srimad Bhagavatam is Lord Krishna, nothing but Krishna. So here it came in the form of a question that for what purpose the Supreme Lord appeared in the womb of Devaki and played the part of human being. This is a very important question. But again, when you interpret in your way, then you will definitely misunderstand it. And that's what happened. The first Saptah we did, the woman had this thing in his mind. The family had this thing in mind, that Srimad Bhagavatam is only about Krishna and nothing else about Krishna. So after the Saptah, when I asked that, Mataji, what do you think? How do you like this? Your family appreciated? So they said, yeah, but we wanted to hear only about Krishna. How he killed Putna, how he killed Shankachud and this and that, and all the Asura and Kamsa. How he won the battle of this Dharma, Kshetre, Kurukshetre, all that. So their knowledge and definition and understanding and interpretation is so limited based on this question. But this is one of the questions, that you talk about Supreme Personality of Godhead, but it includes so many other aspects also. Not just he was born at the womb of Devaki and how he was carried to Gokul, Vrindavan and all that. And then he came back to Mathura and killed Krishna and Kamsa and all that. Everyone child can tell you all these things. But that's not the limitation. There is much more attached to that. There is much more to know about Krishna. And that's why they go ahead and ask the fourth question. Tasya karmanyadharani parigitani suchivi buhina shraddhanam lilya badatakkalam. They say, tell us all about his incarnations. And so please narrate to us the wonderful transcendental pastime that he performed. So the reason for the incarnation was yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata abhyuthanam adharmasya tadatmyanam srijamyam paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha duskram dharma samsthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. So here in these two questions, they said, first tell us about incarnation, and so please narrate to us the wonderful transcendental pastime that he performed. Because every incarnation had a different mission. Lord Narasimha is right in front of me, right? Who is killing? Hiranyakashipu. But if you think that Lord Narasimha came and, he fought on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, then maybe he's a Krishna, but still that understanding is not proper, is not actually very what you want to learn from Srimad Bhagavatam. Every incarnation has different pastimes, different purpose, right? So this is what it is. And simply by chanting the holy name of the Lord, even unconsciously, one can immediately be delivered from the entanglement of birth and death. Therefore, great devotees such as Narada always chanted the holy name and sing about the glories of Supreme Lord. Persons who have come in contact with such pure devotees can immediately become sanctified, whereas bathing in the Ganges purifies one gradually. We never tire of hearing Krishna Katha. For those who have developed their transcendental relationship with the Lord, relish hearing of his pastimes every moment. Now that Lord Krishna has departed for his own abode, where can we find the true principles of religion? This is the final question and very beautiful question. Shutajana bhadram te Bhagavan Sattvatam Pati Devakyam Vasudevasya Jato Yasya Chikirshaya. Now that Lord Krishna has departed for his own abode, where can we find the true principles of religion? We desire to hear these teachings that were imparted by the previous acharyas. For such hearing and chanting is always uplifting. Who is there sincerely desiring to become delivered from the vices of this degraded age of quarrel, that will not be willing to hear the glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead? So, we have been going through these 6 questions, and after Sutta Purani heard these beautiful questions, thereafter Sutta Goswami narrated Srimad Bhagavatam, answering the inquiry made by the sages. And let's go and listen what it is. So here it says, Munaya sadhu prustoham bhavadbilo kamandalam Yatkruta Krishna samprashno yenatma suprasidati. So the sages put these questions, and Sutta Goswami first offered his obeisances unto his spiritual master, Srila Shukadeva Goswami, right? And that is the reason why I usually chant Jai Radha Madhava Nikunjbihari. It's not only a beautiful bhajan, but when I came to this country, I went to visit 55th Street Temple. And Prabhupada's tape was going on in which he was chanting Jai Radha Madhava Nikunjbihari. Always at 12 o'clock I used to take a lunch, and I was in nearby area. I would walk up to the 55th Street, and if I don't listen to this tape, I will request the pujari that please, if you can play that Jai Radha Madhava tape. Before, it was not like this, that, once everything is gone, everybody is gone, nothing is happening. But in 55th Street, the tape was going on. And the best part was that most of the time, during lunchtime, they used to play this Jai Radha. Although, it's not necessary that before you speak, you hear this. I used to go to lunchtime and I used to listen to this tape. And the glory about this tape is that I was willing to know, I desired to know the meaning of it. And I found the meaning of it, and I was more attracted to that particular song. Krishna is the lover of Radha. Jai Radha Nikunjbihari. Krishna is the lover of Radha. It displays many amorous pastimes in the groves of Vrindavan. He is the lover of cowherd maidens of Raja, the holder of the great hill named Govardhana, the beloved son of Mother Yashoda, the delighter of the inhabitants of Raja, and he wanders in the forests along the bank of the river Yamuna. If you have written, I wrote 3 books, and in my language, of course, it's not for sale or anything, but when you write, you actually express yourself, and you know better that what you are, what your thoughts are, what your ability is, what your dreams are. And so for that purpose, I wrote 3 books and many, many poems also. So when you are in that mood, And when you listen to this particular verse, Jai Radha Madhav Kunjbihari, Gopi Jana Vallabh Girivardhari, Yashoda Nandana Vrajana Ranjana, Jamuna Thira Vanachari. And then I try to know more about it. That why Srila Prabhupada always sing this thing. And the explanation was that it gives him miracles. So what kind of miracles you're talking about? They said Srila Prabhupada was very fond of this song and sang it just before his lectures in Allahabad, in Gorakhpur and in Surat. Srila Prabhupada fell into a trance after singing the first two lines, and after some time he came back into the external consciousness. Just by speaking these words, just by singing this song, if you can go into the trance, you are the greatest yogi of this world. Otherwise, you have to go and follow all the injunctions that Scripture has recommended. What are there? Yam, Niyam, Asana, Pranayam, Pratyahar, Dhyan, Dharana, Samadhi. All this when you cross, spend the whole life into it, then you come to trance. But Srila Prabhupada, just by chanting these auspicious words, was able to go into trance. You will faint if I say what a yam is. What is a yam? Most people don't know. It's not just knowing, you have to also follow. That is yama. Ahimsa, Satya, Asteya, Brahmacharya, Parigraha, Yamaha. That's what Scripture says. Non-violence. Not only you know that, oh, I know what ahimsa is. Ahimsa paramo dharma. The first injunction of Vedas. No, we are not talking about that. Are you following ahimsa? Do you eat meat? Yes, sir, sometimes. Yes, then you are not ahimsak. Then you are violent, you are a killer, you are a culprit. You are no good for spiritual life. Follow non-violence. Then, satya, truthfulness. You lie? Sometimes, at our position, we have to lie sometimes. Because the thing is, you have to run this big place and, we lie. No. Satya. No asatya. And then, asteya. No stealing. Just take this, take this, from here, there, you collect all of this. No, that's not the way to live. Right? You're a robber. You're a thief. So, asteya, no stealing, that should be your virtue. Brahmacharya, celibacy. It's not just occasional celibacy. Celibacy is celibacy, and that's superior. And parigraha, no accumulation. If you need one dhoti, take one dhoti. If you really need for 5 days 5 dhotis, 5 dhotis. 7 days 7 dhotis, 7 dhotis. But don't be greedy and buy 70 dhotis. Don't be greedy and buy 70 kurtas. That's accumulation. You will never ever use it. Sometimes in New York Times and certain magazines I see, some rich people, they have a closet, 300 shoes. Why? There are only 365 days, right? And they have just spare shoes, 300 shoes. What to speak of the current or the active closet that they have. Thousands of shoes that they collect. That's a accumulation. Parigraha. No, you should not have parigraha. If you follow these, that is the first step for going to trance. The second is ahimsa satyamasteya brahmacharya kshamadruti. Daya arjavam mitahara shaucham chaiva yamadasha. What is the niyam? Is simplicity. Mitahara, light diet. Shaucham, cleanliness. Santosha, satisfaction. Swadhyayeshu pranidhanani. Always you have to focus in reading the scriptures. All these are a call, niyama. The one word, daya, is defined clearly. Paresham dukham alokya swayeva alochanam yatat tat sadhananusandhanam dayeti prochyate budhehi. This is from the Agastya Purana. So Agastya Muni says that when you see someone else in a pain, you consider it to be your own pain and try to help removing that pain is a definition of compassion according to learned sages. So Agastya Muni gave this definition of daya. Do you have daya in your heart? We are just talking of the second step of trance, and then asana, pranayam. There are 10 vayus, air in our body, and you should know by Kumbhak, Rechak, all these processes, how to control those airs. That is pranayam, pratyahar, what to eat, what not to eat, dhyana, meditation, dharana, have certain goal in your life. And then that way, when you do this Ashtanga Yoga, then you become. But Prabhupada never encourages in sitting down at one place for hours and hours, for days and days, and for years and years. He simply said, chant, Jai Radha Madhav Kunjbihari. And he said finally that, Srila Prabhupada said that when he came back into excellent consciousness, he said, now just chant Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada said that this song is a picture of Vrindavan. Everything is there. Srimati Radharani, Vrindavan, Govardhan, Yashoda, and all the cowherd boys and the girls. He was asked, what did he see in the trance? Right? He himself is defining what he saw. And also is defining what others are seeing when they go into trance. He says, Jhana vastitrat gatena manasa paschanti yam yogino. What they see is little light, meaningless. That little portion is a Brahma Jyoti, right? The light is reflecting from where Krishna is, and they think that's Krishna. Yes, for you and me, the train has arrived, right? Half an hour there is no train, no announcement, nothing. People keep coming. And when you look at the end of the tunnel, you see little light and you are happy. Yes, D train is coming, D train is coming. Everybody is jumping. Everybody is very happy. Why? Because there is a light at the end of the tunnel. So for other yogis, for Ashtanga yogi, there is a dhyana avasthita tadgatena manasa paschantiyam yogino. All they see is a little light at the end of the tunnel and thinks that, oh, I found Krishna. But when Prabhupada went into the trance after chanting this particular bhajan, he says that picture of Vrindavan, everything is there. Srimati Radharani, Vrindavan, Govardhan, Yashoda, and all the cowherd boys and cowherd girls. So this should be our goal during these 7 days, if we can focus without, discriminating ourselves from these great sages and what they have to say. We should be absorbing every word of it, which is made understandable by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. So, the first thing is to praise, is to appreciate the questions, because it is a atato brahma jigyasa. Right? Any question that you ask becomes spiritual. We had a Sunday school, and there used to be little children here, and they were all given a piece of paper. And a teacher would like to know that what kind of flowers he is wearing, what kind of garland he is wearing. What kind of crown he is wearing? Whether he is wearing a crown or whether he is wearing this turban, right? The students will see, look at Krishna and Radha and answer all the questions. But that was not just a piece of paper. It was not just a Sunday school lesson. It was taking them to the spiritual world. The teacher was trying to teach them how to look at the deities, which most people even don't care. And they see something and they go. If you ask them what color was the dhoti, you think they will be able to tell you? No. What is the dress Radharani was wearing? I don't know. What was the backdrop? 2 days back we had a full moon and the backdrop showed a full moon, right? Such a beautiful backdrop. How many people saw that, right? No. I missed it. I may have missed it. I don't know. I was talking. Somebody else was talking. I don't know. My mind was in a mridanga. My mind was in that flute the guy was playing, out of tune, this, that, full of what you call passion or complaints or whatever. But that we are missing the real darshan. But this way you can train the children when a simple question is asked. But that is atato brahma jigyasa. These are not the ordinary questions. Question that leads you to Krishna is atato brahma jigyasa. You don't have to be Shukadeva Goswami. You don't have to be Parikshit Raja. You don't have to be Sutparani. Or you don't have to be Shaunak Adi Rishimuni. Any question that you ask related to Krishna is a Brahma Jigyasa. So he appreciates and he says, your questions are praiseworthy, and because they are in relations with Lord Krishna, they are meant for the world's welfare. The supreme duty or dharma for all humanity is engagement in the transcendental loving service of Supreme Personality of Godhead. However, such devotional service must be unmotivated and uninterrupted. Listen to the word. Go into the dictionary. Every word that we speak, there is some intention behind it. Motivation, right? You want to instigate. You want to bring waves. You want to impress people, right? That's not unmotivated. If you want to talk about Krishna, talk in a simple language, right? So, here it says that must be unmotivated and uninterrupted to completely satisfy the self. We are not talking about Krishna, self. Krishna lives in your body as a Paramatma, as a super soul. By speaking your words, are you satisfied? The answer is no. Why? Because it all comes out of envy. It all comes out of jealousy. Or all comes out of comparisons. And that's why here it says, to completely satisfy the self. Bhakti Yoga is a perfect and complete spiritual activity. And so one who is thus engaged automatically acquires causeless knowledge and detachment from the material world. And then it says, Save pusa paro dharmo yato bhakti radokshaje ahaitu ki pariyatam yatatma suprasidati dharmasvanusta punsa vikshakshena kathasuya notpadetyadiratim shrameva hi kevalam. Very beautiful, very beautiful. All kinds of endeavors are useless labor only if they do not invoke our dormant natural attraction for hearing the messages of Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna. Because human life is meant for self-realization. The purpose of the life is to realize ourselves. Forget about others. Forget about even Krishna. You realize yourself. And that is why all kind of endeavors are useless labor if they do not invoke our dormant natural attraction for hearing the messages of the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna. This valuable human form of life should never be utilized merely for accumulating material assets. And whatever economic development one achieves should be employed in the service of Supreme Lord, and not only for personal sense gratification. Although the absolute truth is one, it is appreciated by transcendentalists and described in Shastra as a Brahman. So again, here it says, Vadanti tattvata vidas tattvam yaj gnana madavayam brahmeti paramatmeti bhagavan iti shabdati. Very, very important. 3 steps and you're done. That's it. Going back to garden. 3 steps. First, brahmeti. You realize that Brahman realization. Don't stay there for a long time. And then you go to Paramatmeti. Try to know the Super Soul. And then the next step, you know that Super Soul is also not totally Krishna. Krishna is there in Goloka Vrindavan. What about Krishna? How is he? What is doing? Why he appeared in this world? What are his injunctions? Right? What he has to tell us. So, this kind of curiosity will lead to Bhagavan iti. Then you know him as a Bhagavan. Bhagavan is a very common word people use in Gujarati, where I am coming from. If you ask any question, you know, Mataji, where is this? Bhagavan jane. He only knows, right? Mataji, what is? No, Bhagavan jane. Bhagavan is such a common word that they have made this word, such a wonderful, great word, which means one who is a Swami, who is authority on Shri, Shakti, Kirti, Kanti, Gnan and Vairagya. Shri means wealth, all the wealth of the world he is possessing. Shakti, all the energies is coming from him and is possessing also. Kirti, the fame. You may be, 5 people may be knowing me, 10 people may know you, and 10,000 people may know the chairman or the president, right? And everybody may know President Biden all over the world. That is Kirti. But the Kirti or the fame also coming from Lord Sri Krishna. Kanti, beauty. Everybody is beautiful in their own way. But Krishna is the most beautiful form, right? Gnana, the knowledge. I may be reading from this book. You can also read it. But my background may be different, so I may talk in that fashion or that way. And if you are a medical doctor, you may give 10 examples meanwhile in 1 hour about the pandemic and this and that and how to, solve it through these scriptures, and, your subject will be different because there is a touch of your knowledge. But when Krishna speaks, when he is advising, when he is writing something, when he is on the battlefield with Arjuna or with Uddhava, then he is talking in a different language because he knows all the languages and all the knowledge, right? Gnana. He is the supreme Gnani and Vairagya. Vairagya is not easy. Rest of the thing you can get it. Lakshmi, wealth, yes, more you work, more you get, right? If it's $15 an hour, you work 40 hours, 80 hours, right? Unlimited number of hours you can work. If you don't want to work, buy, borrow, still, and still you can become rich. For other opulences, nothing is actually required. But for Vairagya, for giving away something that you have, no one will do that. No one will do that. They will die. If you kill them, they are happy to get killed, but they won't give you their wallet. Why? Because the wallet is the ultimate achievement that they have achieved in their life. So, out of all these opulences, vairagya or giving up something is not there in anybody except Lord Sri Krishna. And that is why Vidyarthi labate vidyan, dhanarthi labate dhanam, putrarthi labate putran, moksharthi labate gatim. Krishna is the one, if you want a knowledge, he will give you knowledge. If you want money, he will give you money. If you want progeny, he will give you that. If you want a house, like a car, anything you need, right? Because he is the Swami of Shri, Shakti, Kirti, Kanti, Gnan and Vairagya. His business is to give away. As soon as you stand in front of him with the folded hands, he is going to give us. And so, that is the beauty of Lord Sri Krishna. We will continue tomorrow from Srimad Bhagavatam and be prepared, because although the absolute truth is one, it is appreciated by transcendentalists and described in Shastra as the Brahman, Paramatma and Bhagavan. In terms of one's progressive degree of realization, the highest goal of life is to please Supreme Personality of Godhead. And for this reason, an intelligent person should always hear about, glorify, remember and worship the Supreme Lord with single-minded attention. By taking up the sword of constant remembrance of the Lord Sri Krishna, the devotee cut through the tight knot of bondage, karma. What sane man will avoid the submissive oral reception of Krishna Katha? So, that is the definition of sane and insane. Only insane would not like to hear these words, but the sane man fully, attentively try to not only hear, try to understand and put everything into the practice. So that's for what today. We will meet tomorrow. Thanks for joining, and try to focus on Krishna. Like I said, it was my desire that after this particular katha, since I was not able to produce a single person who will come forward and say, I would like to sponsor the katha, I would like to give the donation, I would like to be a member, I would like to read Bhagavatam, please can you give me one sat, here is the check, here is the money, nobody comes forward. So that is the reason that during this particular 7 days, we are trying to push this drive, which I call a Pitrupaksha Dan Yagna. This Pitrupaksha is for forefathers. And in order to please our forefathers, so that they will go back to Godhead. Yes, you are a devotee, initiated, not initiated, I don't know, whatever it is. But for you, at least you are listening to this katha, so chances are that you may go back to Godhead. But how about your father, your mother, or brother, or sister, or any of the relatives who are no longer in this world? So for those departed souls, for their benefit, please try to get at least one set of Bhagavad Gita, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Bhagavatam, or any other books that Srila Prabhupada has written. If you don't want, if you have it already, please distribute among your friends, family members, your boss, or your servant, whatever it is. Please try to do that. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Thank you.
Srimad Bhagavatam Mahapuran ki
Jai.